Today, I want to talk about the student loan debt and some information and stuff that I learned with regards to student loans, as well as the FTC sending out checks to consumers who lost money in a scheme. So stay tuned. My name is Jay, and welcome to Ask a Debt Collector. Now, I've been in the debt collection industry for over 15 years. I've done it all, from skip tracing to collecting to management, and I've owned 2 debt collection agencies. For the past 8 years, I've been the go-to guy for friends and family for questions regarding debt and credit, and now I want to be that person for you. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments section. I promise I'll answer those questions. Let's go. If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Share with your friends and family. Okay, so in 2019, I drove for Lyft and Uber. I drove for both of them. I would drive pretty much Fridays and Saturdays. I would make pretty good money. I drove during those times on the weekends just for extra money. I would take the money, whether it was I was investing in companies, saving it, or using it, for everyday expenses and bills that I had. I drove. And one of the things that I loved about driving is I love meeting people. I love interacting with people. I just love meeting people in general. The cool thing about it is I would meet people that in everyday normal life I would probably never meet, whether it was tourists, because I'm in San Diego, so majority of the people were tourists. But it was great because they would have all kinds of business events and so forth. And so I would always take that opportunity to learn from people. And so there were times when people would sit, businessmen, affluent people who, had a lot of knowledge with regards to the economy, real estate, and, debt in general. And I remember meeting this older guy who, talked about an oncoming crisis, right? Obviously in 2008, which is the first time that I could remember a crisis happening. Obviously we had the housing situation with those subprime loans that were given out back in 2008. Obviously, we had an issue that happened. Obviously, you had the dot-com situation, but I graduated in 2001, so I didn't really know much about that. But in 2008, I actually, saw what transpired and what happened. Obviously, I was in debt collection, so I seen firsthand what happened. And so nevertheless, with this guy, one of the things he said is people were talking a lot of times before the pandemic hit, but they were saying, yeah, we're definitely going to have some type of issue with regards to life in general. And one of the things he brought up was, he said, one of the things people aren't talking about is student loan debt. And, he was like, I believe that is what is going to probably crash the stock market or crash whatever the situation is, going to mess it up. And so when I thought about that, obviously I didn't have any student loan debt in general, but I thought about a lot of my friends who went to college, who didn't get scholarships, who, got loans to go to college for, certain type of degrees that once they graduated, they weren't able to use it, and they find themselves $30,000 to $90,000 in debt. Get out of college, not being able to find no job or anything along those lines, spending all that kind of money, depending on what college they went to, and, not being able to pay the debt back. And so if you notice with regards to the economy in general, at 18 years old, with no established credit, you can get a student loan. You can get $20,000, $10,000 a semester to go to college. But if you try and get a $10,000 or $20,000 loan with regards to starting a business or something along those lines, you got to jump through so many hoops. Yes, there are so many people out there who took advantage of borrowing the money for school and then in return taking it in business, and they're successful now. But for the most part, most people just got the college money and used it for school. Nevertheless, when you think about it, I always told people, and this is just my opinion, so for those of you who went to college for other reasons, that's you. But if you're not going to college to become like a lawyer, some type of doctor, or civil engineer or something along those lines, and there are a few other things out there that you actually have to go to college in order to learn, then I wouldn't necessarily push college. But nevertheless, unless, obviously you can go for free, because at 18, we don't know what we want to do in life. And so you go there, you do 2 years of general ed, you still don't have a full concept of what you want to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do until I was about 26 or 27. And a lot of times that's after you've graduated college if you started at 18. Nevertheless, that's the situation and that's the circumstance concerning that. And it just makes you look with regards to it. Now, all of a sudden, the pandemic hits, and now, with the Biden administration, they are talking about getting student loan relief. I've heard things as far as getting $10,000 knocked off. I've heard of it being completely knocked off. And then obviously, if we know the deferred payments, obviously because of the pandemic, they've been pushing the payments back. Nevertheless, I want to tell you guys a story where the FTC is actually helping people and what's going on. So let's get into that. The FTC sends checks to people who lost money to student loan debt relief schemes. Okay. The Federal Trade Commission is sending checks totaling more than $316,000 to 10,689 people who lost money to a student loan debt relief scam. In the complaint, first announced back in March of 2020, so around the beginning of the pandemic, the FTC alleged Slack, which also used the name Aspire, Novian, a student loan assistance center, and their owner, Adam Owens, falsely told consumers that for an upfront fee of $699 and a monthly fee of $39 a month, the defense would permanently lower or eliminate student loan debt. Now think about that. I pay you $699 and then $39 a month, and we'll get rid of your debt. Now, if I owed $20,000 or something along those lines, and I went to a debt relief company, I would have taken that deal in a heartbeat. And obviously, it was a scheme. Let's go on. In reality, the payments could change every year, and loan forgiveness was not guaranteed for any consumer. The FTC also alleged that the defendants paid consumers for positive reviews on the Better Business Bureau website and failed to disclose those payments. As part of the settlement with the FTC, the defendants agreed to pay the funds, which are being used to send payments to affected consumers. People who receive the check should deposit or cash their checks within 90 days. As indicated on the check, recipients who have questions about their checks can call the refund administration. I'll put that information down below. The FTC never requires people to pay money or provide account information to cash or refund checks. So just keep that in mind. So that's pretty cool. The FTC, which stands for the Federal Trade Commission, they regulate a lot of financial institutions. They even regulate debt collection agencies in general to make sure people aren't being taken care of. And as a debt relief, it just sort of kind of sucks. But someone saw something, obviously, with regards to the debts ballooning and people, a lot of consumers and a lot of student loan debt, figure, hey, come do this and I'll do that. Unfortunately, in life, there are a lot of people out there who'll scheme and do all types of stuff just to get money from you. So you have to be careful, obviously. And in this case, one of the things I tell people to do is to check the Better Business Bureau in your area, see what the rating they had. This company was actually paying people to pick up falsified documents showing that. Typically the Better Business Bureau is legit, but obviously everything that you do and everything that can happen, you can be schemed, so be careful with regards to that. Now, if you have debt and you're dealing with a debt relief company, be careful in that aspect. Vet the company, look at the information with regards to what's happening, try and get as much information as possible before actually dealing with that with the company you're looking for. I know there are a lot of people out there with a lot of student loan debt. Hopefully with this Biden administration, we'll figure out something with regards to continually deferring your payment, or possibly some type of relief off of that debt, because I know it'll help a lot of you guys out there. Now, if you have any questions about debt or credit, put it down in the comments section. I promise I'll answer those questions. And as always, you be great.